When you first get into this solar hobby, it's quite addictive. I've started off with a micro inverter from EcoFlow and 2 solar panels. That's since escalated to another couple of panels and another micro inverter. And I think the question most of us really don't ask ourselves is, what do we actually need this electricity for? Now, if it's to cover the base load of your house, for example, my house is a 4 or 5 bedroom house, and on average, the base load is about 250 watts. It does vary throughout the day, but as an average, we'll stick at 250. Now, my panels produce about 400 to 500 watts on an average day in the sun, okay? So, you know, if you start quantifying that into what you need that electricity for, surplus electricity for, you're either going to throttle it back with the use of a smart meter, which I do, or you're going to have to put it to good use by putting it into batteries, which I have done. I've done a few other videos on that, and any extra electricity I produce, I put back into the batteries to use in the evening. Now, there comes a time when you have to ask yourself the question, how big does my system need to be to fit my needs? And I think I've reached that point for me. I now have 2 EcoFlow microinverters and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 460 watt panels, and a 250 watt panel on the wall, and another small 40 watt panel on the side of the shed, which feeds a small 20-hour battery inside the shed, which provides lighting and assists a fan to cool the EcoFlow microinverter down. But that is a question I think none of us really ask. The hobby is so addictive that as soon as you start seeing the electricity come in, especially on nice sunny days, we just want more and more and more without really giving a thought of why we need that extra electricity. Now, if you have an EV vehicle, then that's absolutely great. You know, if you're producing 2, 3, 4 kilowatts, you can cream some of that excess off and put it back into the EV. Or if you have a large 5 kilowatt battery, you can plow it back into the battery. But I don't think a lot of us give enough consideration to where the extra electricity that we're producing from these solar panels is going. Because a lot of us then install a smart meter like I've done on a previous video, and it throttles back your electricity. And I've recently installed another microinverter, which I'll do a video about in the coming weeks. And I'm producing 700 watts on a good day from those solar panels. And that's on top of the 2 solar panels I've got on top of the shed, which again, on a good day, they can bring in 800 plus watts. And although I have these couple of power banks, which I've shown you on previous videos, which I carry around in the evening in the house or set up in the house and use for my evening baseload cover, the following day, I will obviously use some of that surplus electricity to charge those back up for the following evening. But more importantly, the base load is being covered as well, and I'm not sending stuff back to the grid. So I'd like your thoughts on this. What do you do with your excess electricity? Because if it's just been throttled back by a smart meter, it's going nowhere. And you're producing a lot more, and you paid a lot of money for these solar panels and this microinverter. So you want to maximize the power out of it, obviously, but you also want to maximize the usage of that power. And just by simply throttling it back and seeing your in-home display as 0, knowing that your base load may be 200, 300 watts, and there's potentially another 400, 500 watts being throttled back, well, you've got to ask yourself the question, why? Why do I actually need all of this solar power when really I only need to cover my base load? Or maybe you do need to power an EV vehicle. Maybe you have another reason. Maybe, like I say, maybe you need to charge batteries up throughout the day, all of which is great if you have them. But if you don't, you really have to come back to this fundamental question of, why do I need to keep growing my system when I don't have a need for it? And I think I'm at that point now. You can spend money and be silly about it and keep going and going and going with this thought in your mind that you're going to produce thousands of kilowatts of power. But realistically, what do you do with it? And I don't think many of us ask that question. So just a thought. What do you think? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.